Oh yeah, back in the lead.
My name's Brandon and this is Video Game History, a show where I take a look back on a certain franchise of video games and retrospectively review them. Today we're jumping into the world of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy with a title called The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Creative, isn't it? The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was released on the 25th of September 2006 for the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and surprisingly the Nintendo Wii. I'm reviewing the PS2 version, but technically we're reviewing our very first Wii game here. There was also a Game Boy Advance version, but let's not talk about that. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was developed by High Voltage Software. High Voltage have developed a ridiculous amount of games, but most notably they have developed codename Kids Next Door Operation Video Game, Ben 10 Protector of Earth, Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law, as well as Secret Saturday's Beast of the Fifth Son. The game was also published by the now defunct Midway Games. Critically, this game fared exceptionally for a Cartoon Network licensed property. It has the second highest Metacritic score of any Cartoon Network game, receiving positive reviews from Nintendo Power, GameSpot, and IGN. These are all great signs for the game, so let's check it out for ourselves. Okay, I've got to kickstart this review by saying this game is so freaking good. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is a 3D arena fighter, and while it isn't the deepest and most revolutionary game you'll play, it's still something that's worth everybody's time, not just Grim Adventure fans. Before you get underway, you've got the option of choosing a tutorial to play through. I didn't really mess around with this and just tried to pick up the game on the fly, but it's nice to have the option to teach players about the game. However, if you do forego the tutorial, the game is relatively simple to pick up, which is one of the big draws of this game in my opinion. You have two different attack buttons and you can also pick up various items which you can use. This is basically the extent of the controls you need to know. Story modes can most times be incredibly rough in fighters, but I think High Voltage did a good job here. The actual narrative itself is pretty nonsensical, which is evident from the very first cutscene where Billy's dad and Eris are just sorta hanging out for no reason. Also, Mandy's hair looks ridiculous in 3D. You're given a flimsy plot about Grim losing his mojo and needing to get it back, but the appeal is really in the humour. I found myself engaged in each of the cutscenes because the humour in the game feels like it wouldn't have been out of place in an episode. Each time I got to a cutscene I was entertained rather than reaching for the controller to skip to the next fight. The combat here is simple as I've already mentioned, but it still manages to be so much fun through things like the level design. A lot of levels change midway through, kind of like how PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale mashed up franchises for their levels. This forces you to adjust your strategy, and in some cases levels will go through 2 or 3 changes, which I really enjoyed. Most levels feature destructible environments that can be used to your advantage too. Unlike a Smash Bros type game where you try to knock other players off the screen, here you have to whittle down health bars, although they still use stock. Once you've eliminated all of their stock, you can interact with them and can perform a Mortal Kombat style fatality, which is unique for every single character in the game. However, I must admit the gameplay isn't perfect. First off, the game can feel a little slow. It felt to me like all the characters' movement speed should have been bumped up a little to make fights a little more frantic. Because of this, I was always mashing L1, which allows your character to do a dash. Levels can be decently big here for a fighting game, so being able to move quicker would have allowed strings of gameplay and matches to come together more naturally. You'll also find yourself at times getting stuck in a feedback loop where you're just being attacked over and over again and cannot escape. Without any sort of roll or block mechanic, you basically just have to accept you're going to lose a chunk of health if you get stuck in one of these. Finally, some of the weapons are straight up broken. Seriously, there are some weapons that if you see a character pick it up, you know it's time to get the hell out of there, as they're just going to completely wipe you out with it. The alien-style mech suit in one level is crazily overpowered too, particularly because while they're in the suit, you can't damage them and have to attack the suit to force them to jump out of it. The story mode clocks in at under an hour, however, I wasn't too fazed by this. In a game like this, the story mode isn't the main attraction, and nobody would have been expecting multiple hours here. I feel like it hits the sweet spot, where it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it also isn't beatable in 20 minutes like the Powerpuff Girls' Chemical Extraction. I have to commend High Voltage on the amount of effort, care, and attention that went into this title. Just look at this ridiculous roster of characters and you can tell they did their homework on the series. There are 15 characters to choose from, some of which are pretty damn obscure. You start off with only Grim, Billy, Mandy, and Erwin, but unlock the rest through the game's mission mode, which I'll touch on in a little bit. as well as other special conditions. All characters have alternate costumes to unlock too, and there are even new weapon sets, concept art, and videos to be unlocked. One of my favourite moments in the game is the boss battle with the alien from Little Rock of Horrors, which is one of my favourite episodes. Not only is it a genuinely decent boss battle, but it even plays the song from the episode during it, which I loved. Even something as simple as the credits has so much thought put into it. It turns out that the cause of all their problems in the story was because of a mistake Billy made. Mandy remarks that she wishes there was a mode where you could just pound on Billy, and then it immediately cuts to the credits where you can beat the crap out of him. Furthermore, while you're kicking Billy's ass, the credits around you get destroyed by your attacks. For good measure, to make sure you'd want to kick his ass, they make Billy scream, "Destroy us all," so you're annoyed enough to go do it. And to put a little cherry on top, Weird Al fucking Yankovic is the game's narrator.
Super secret unlocked!
For the first time ever, Billy, Mandy, and Grim are coming to a video game. All the bizarre supernatural fun of the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy is faithfully captured in this hysterically paranormal adventure. In battle mode, join in on the multiplayer mayhem and play as other favorite characters. Fight up to 3 of your friends and see who will be the last one standing. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, rated E10 for ages 10 and up.
While the story mode is short, the mission mode is quite beefy and offers much more gameplay. There are 5 tiers of difficulty, each containing 9 missions that completely alter the way you fight. Modes that feature you collecting coins or getting points based on capturing flags are present here, and the unique ways to fight are a real breath of fresh air. Even better is that these game modes become unlocked for use in versus mode. I would have seriously loved this game if I owned it as a kid. It's the perfect party/sleepover game for a kid from the mid-2000s, and with so many different ways to play and a good sized roster, I would have got countless hours out of this. The kind of care and thought that has been put into this game is what I wanted to see from crossover titles like Cartoon Network Speedway and Cartoon Network Block Party. It's impossible to overstate what a great job High Voltage have done here. They managed to capture the essence of the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy, while also producing a legitimately great game.
Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar's sweet, and I'm too young. So you just got to be mine this Valentine's Day. Daddy's got some brand new shorts for your viewing pleasure. It all starts tonight at 6 on Cartoon Network, yo.
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy without a doubt lives up to its billing as the second highest rated Cartoon Network game. Heck, I think it's far and away the best Cartoon Network game. It's genuinely good. It's not just good in a if you like the show or Cartoon Network way, it's just actually good when judged purely as a game. It's a shame there wasn't a follow-up or any other Grim Adventures game ever made again. High Voltage are 2 of 2 on their Cartoon Network games now, so I'm excited to see what their other games like Ben 10 Protector of Earth are like. Heck, this has got me excited to play Victorious Taking the Lead, which they bizarrely also developed for the Wii.